Big thank you to my special helper today. Cameraman Ben wasn't here. My little brother Jimmy is helping me out, so thank you to Jimmy for helping me out on that. Welcome to another Obsessed Auto Reviews, everybody. My name is Gary and this is the place to be if you love vehicles. Today we are looking at this all-new 2020 Honda Pilot. We borrowed this Honda Pilot from Honda west of Calgary, Alberta. Thank you to them for giving us access to this vehicle. Please visit them. Link is in the description below for all your next Honda needs if you're in the area. Now, let's get back to this Pilot. This has been around since 2002. This one being in its third generation, came out in 2015. Lovely shape. The first two generations were more boxier. This one has obviously moved away from that. It looks much more sharper than the first two generations in my opinion. Now, competing against things like the Toyota Highlander, the new Kia Telluride and Hyundai Palisade, and many more competitors in the segment, is it still worth getting a Honda Pilot? This Pilot Touring is now a little over $55,000, and this one doesn't even sit at the top of the Honda hierarchy here in Canada. You get a black edition for $57,000. That's a lot of money. I remember when it crossed $50,000 a few years back, and I was like, wow, that's a lot of money. Is it still worth getting this? But with the features it comes packed in with, I definitely think so. Stay tuned for the review and see why it cost $55,000. All right, everybody, we're gonna start from the front end of this Honda Pilot. Now, let's talk about these headlights. They're pretty noticeable. First of all, they're gigantic. Now, you would have LED headlights standard. They're obviously the reflector style. You would have the LED daytime running light, your halogen turn signals, LED low beam and high beams. Now, you get LED fog lights on EX trim levels and up. Other than that, you wouldn't get anything on anything lower than that. Overall, the front end is pretty sharp. It is a little bit bubbly. I wish it was more boxier shaped, a little bit more rugged looking. But with this one being out since 2015, we might be looking at getting a next generation of the Honda Pilot in the next year or two. I'm assuming 2 years just because we got a refresh done recently. Now, the bulging hoods, you notice it on the Ridgelines, on the Passports, on the Pilots. Gives them character as well. Coming onto the center here, you have the chrome grille. You get the blacked out version, the black edition. This will be all black. Everything will be murdered out, which is awesome. Looks great. You have Honda sensing behind this Honda badge. It's kind of covered up in this glass. EX and up trim levels had Honda sensing standard. Anything below that, you didn't get anything you asked out. Yeah, it's a functional grills right here. Move on to the lower portion. This honeycomb style grills, all functional as well, feeding air through the sides. You had some chrome trim going alongside pieces. Once again, I think it makes it try to look more elegant, a little bit more luxurious. You're paying over $55,000. I think Honda wants to throw in as much as they can. But that's about it for the front. I'm gonna move on to the side and I'm gonna bring you guys along with me and see what we got. All right, so now that we are on the side, let's take a nice look at this side profile. It looks really nice and attractive in my opinion. The wheel wells are pretty filled up with those big 20-inch wheels. The body lines itself, the design of the entire overall vehicle, I think it fits it fairly well. Let's start off with these wheels. Now, 18-inch wheels are standard on the Pilots. If you want these nice 20-inch wheels with a two-tone black and silver pattern, you got to go to the Touring trim level and up. So Touring's in black edition. The black edition is all blacked out. Mean looking. Once again, everything's blacked out. Now, along the sides, you have this rugged, texturized black plastic. Goes along all the wheel wells, lower portion of the vehicle, front and rear bumpers. Moving on to the side, you have these LED signal indicators on your side mirrors, silver trim. You had the roof rails that were standard on EX trim levels and up. Chrome door handles. I'm not the biggest fan of chrome. I think if it was more matte chrome, it would look a little better, but I would prefer body colored in general. You had the side trim pieces which were all chromed out, black trim, or I think, yeah, black trim or matte silver would look much better as well. Same with down here, you had that silver trim piece going down all along the rear here, or the side, sorry. Other than that, you have a massive third row window. You can notice it. can see everything in here. The seats kind of come up right over here, so you know your third row passengers definitely have a lot to look outside at. I'll meet you over in the back. Let's see what this Honda Pilot looks like from the booty. All right, everybody, we are moving on to the rear end. Let's take a look at these taillights. You know, before the refresh that Honda did on this Pilot, this was actually all one piece. It didn't have the reverse up here. The reverse was actually down here, and there were halogens. When they did refresh it, they turned this area to the reverse area, and it was all LED lights as well. You had your LED strip running across the width of the taillight. You had halogen turn signals, but LED brake lights as well, so a fairly nice setup. And if you really want to know, it was even an LED license plate light, so it was a really clean appearance in my opinion. Now moving on to the lower portion of the rear bumper, you had parking sensors integrated. Obviously higher trim models will have that. If you want those in lower trims, you're going to have to pay extra as a dealer accessory. You had some fake grills over here, some reflectors, silver trim, and then a flat silver area. And you can obviously remove this. It has an area for towing, which it actually capable of towing up to 5,000 pounds maximum. Once again, it's a mid-size SUV. If you want to tow more, you're going to have to look at a full-size SUV. So other than that, let's move on to the rear here. Open up, I want to show you some storage. Power tailgate, which was standard on higher trim levels, obviously. You know, I don't know why you would want to get an LX unless you don't need any of these things. So I'm gonna wait for this B to go away. It went away, thank you, it knows we're recording. So yeah, power tailgates on higher trim levels and up. I believe it was EXL and up, or EX, one of the two. Let me move these mats out of the way just for you guys to see properly what's going on here. So even with all 3 rows up, you still have a decent amount of storage, right? I wanna show you some footage of everything with everything down, but let me give you some numbers though. With all 3 rows up, you have 18 cubic feet behind the 3rd row. You put down that 3rd row, you have 55 cubic feet. You put down the 2nd row, you have a total of 109 cubic feet behind the 1st row. That is incredible. You can look at all the space that you have too, right? And even in the back behind the 3rd row, you have a little in-floor storage area over here, which is really helpful. Your tools are along the side. You have one power outlet over there. But overall, has a lot of space. You can put in, I would say, at least 6 full-size adults, put some stuff in the back, heck, even tow some things. That's pretty generous. That's about it for the outside. I'm gonna move into the driver's seat or the passenger seat for you guys and show you how this Pilot looks like on the inside. All right, everybody, let's take a look underneath the hood. Whew. It is warm underneath this thing. Now, this is a classic 3.5 liter V6 that Honda has used for a long time. The same V6 you find in the Odyssey, the Passport, the Ridgeline. It makes 280 horsepower and 262 pound-feet of torque. It's mated to a 9-speed automatic transmission, which is only for the Touring and Black Edition. Everything else below that gets a 6-speed auto. They're both good transmissions. All-wheel drive is standard. And once again, it can tow up to 5,000 pounds. The starting capacity is 3,500. Now, apparently, according to figures in terms of fuel economy, the 6-speed transmission uses a little bit more gas, but you would barely notice. It's only 0.3, 0.4 liters per 100 kilometers. So you would definitely not notice it. Other than that, man, like, it's a reliable engine. In terms of longevity, I know everything's going more turbo. This is something that you could definitely depend on for the long run. And it's a naturally aspirated V6. How often do you hear that nowadays, especially when it comes to new vehicles? I know these regulations are definitely getting more and more tight, but thank you for Honda. For this generation, at least, that we have a naturally aspirated V6. Let's go take a look at the inside. All right, ladies and gentlemen, jumping into the Honda Pilot. Wow, this is pretty nice. Starting with the most important thing. I guess nothing's really too important inside here, but overall, in general, this really follows the regular Honda lineup of interiors. Fairly simple. It looks really minimalistic in my opinion. I remember the generation before this had a cluster of buttons over here. But now while we're in here, let's start off with the materials. You see the top portion of the dash. It's lined with this faux stitching, goes the entire width of the dashboard. Soft touch material. Move down here, it's more soft touch material as well. You had some gloss black around your vents and along the center pieces of the dash. Let's move on to this infotainment system. This is Honda's 7-inch infotainment system they've used on multiple products. The best part is that it's the updated Honda Link system, the stuff that first showed up on the Honda Accord, and it is great in my opinion. The navigation itself is Garmin based and it's easy to use. It doesn't lag as much as the first one. Some Honda products still use the first generation Honda Link, but this is much better. Scroll, you barely see any lag. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay was standard. You had your backup camera, and because this has those rear parking sensors I showed you before, it has a little indicators for areas where your camera might not show you, so it has indicators that'll show you on that. Moving on to the lower portion, you know I gotta say it, hashtag save the knobs. I don't see a single knob on or in here anywhere except for the volume knob. You have your engine start stop button, classic Honda stuff, looks the same as any other Honda really. You have these button selects for your temperature. Like, see, this is why I want to say, hey, hashtag save the knobs. I got to keep on saying it until there's knobs all the time, because I think that's not something we need to modernize. The only reason I say that is because if I want really warm air, I have to either do this one by one or just press and hold it instead of just quickly rotating it. Now, you have tri-zone climate control here, individual, and for the rear you have extra stuff. For your fan speed, your buttons, you have them right down here. Different mode select. At least they don't have it buried in the infotainment system, which is not fun. But if we move along to the bottom portion here, you can see that we have your heated seat buttons and your cooled seat buttons. If you wanted cool seats on anything below a touring level, good luck, because you're not going to find them unless you do some custom work. Once again, who does that and who wants to do that really, right? But it's nice that you have ventilated seats. I have used them. They don't feel the most, you know, sometimes you barely notice them in my opinion. I think they could be a little bit better, but we're starting to get ventilated seats in mainstream products, which is great. Now, you can notice that this one has a little Blu-ray sign. This is where you put your CDs and DVDs in for the rear entertainment system, which I'll show you in a little bit here. Moving on to the lower portion, you have a 12-volt power outlet. You have your fast charging USB. It's also where you plug in your phone for CarPlay or Android Auto. Now below this, you have your wireless car charger. That's obviously going to be on higher trims and up as well. This is where you have your 9-speed automatic transmission gear selector. Buttons, you'll get used to them. Below this, you have your automatic engine start stop button to turn it on and off. Below this, you have a couple buttons, or one button to really change your drive select for normal mode, snow, mud, sand, depending on the drive terrain. It adjusts the drive, the four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive system, and lets you kind of configure that based on your environment. A couple cup holders, lots of center console storage. You open this puppy up, you have a lot of storage. You can, ladies, you can put your purse in here. Gentlemen, you can put your iPads or whatever you carry around. You have a little removable tray that I don't want to remove because then they're pretty good. You have another power outlet and another USB, pretty much the exact same as these two guys up here. Now moving on to at least my portion, you have your glove box. It is damped and not lined with felt or anything. It's basic plastic, which I think it's easier to keep clean, so that's good. You have your usual books that I'm not going to go through. Maybe I'll make a video if the demand is high enough of going through a Honda Pilot owner's manual. Anyways, moving on to the door panel here. One thing you'll notice is that there's a lot of storage. You have soft touch material on the upper dash. You have leather stitched on the armrest and on your padded area where your arm sits. That is super nice and comfortable. Oh, there's bugs everywhere. One thing you'll notice is that there's lots of storage. There's storage, and there's like basically a 2-tier storage area here, one on the lower portion and one on the top. Now, I'm going to move along to the driver's side here and move on to the steering wheel. Leather, authentic stitching, nice to grab. You have your buttons for your Bluetooth, your media controls, and this actually lets you configure your center screen as well. Plethora of options. To the right side of the steering wheel, you have your heated steering wheel button. It's nice to have heated steering wheels, and you have your cruise control settings, and some of them with your Honda safety stuff as well. Moving on to the center cluster gauge, you have a full digital display mainly, and then your coolant temperature and your fuel levels are all analog stuff. I like how they have a cool design of going in and out, you know, from the hard areas to the digital portion. They lined it up very nice. You have the digital tack, you have your speedometer displayed right there, big and clear, and you also have areas where you can scroll through. It shows where your drivetrains are moving on to. It shows where your wheels are actually, you know, how much power is going to all your wheels, etc., etc. Lots of options you can see. Below to the left hand of your steering wheel, you have all of your Honda sensing safety technology buttons to switch them on and off. Now, on the driver's side door panel, you obviously notice that there's all those buttons for your memory seats, all your power windows, etc., etc. You would have power driver seats on pretty much all Honda Pilot standard, and then you would get power passenger seats on upper models. Talking about these seats, leather, perforated, super soft. They feel like pretty nice quality leather too. There's a good possibility it might not be authentic, but even if it is faux, I think it looks and feels great. You have authentic stitching going along the entire area. But other than that, that was extensive front end stuff. I'll move on to the second row and even show you the third row. All right, I'll see you back there. Get out of here, silly little bug. All right, everybody. Here we are in the second row. You know, if I was a kid, I would be super excited to be here. It's like, I feel like my parents would be limousine drivers. I can just chill back here and they do all the driving. I watch my movies. Now, what I really like about the back row is that the front passenger seat here is pretty far back. It's fully wrapped in leather, which is great as well. Maybe the only bad side is if you have younger kids, they're going to be kicking the back row here and it's going to be pretty annoying for you to clean it up all the time. Now, I have quite a bit of headroom. I'm 6'1", if I didn't mention already. I have a few inches up top, lots of knee room. My feet go under the second seat, the front seat here, but I still have quite a bit of room to work with. Closing up the door, couple holes up at the front. Hey, why have one drink? Why not have a warm one here and a cold one here, right? You have a nice padded armrest, same genuine leather stitch. You have some sunshades in case I feel like being extra bougie and I want to have that up there. I can use that as well. Now, this one is equipped with the rear entertainment system and it is an 8-passenger configuration. If you want the 7-passenger, there will be no middle seat. There'll be 2 captain chairs here. You slide in through the back and that's what it is. I have a couple cup holders, extremely comfortable and padded armrest. Look at how much I can squeeze this thing. It's just squish. That's what it feels like. Now, if this rear entertainment system was not here, we would have a gigantic panoramic roof in the back as well. But because this is here, you can't have both configurations working together. Now you also have this rear entertainment center. Because of your rear entertainment system, you have a couple USBs. You have an accessory outlet here for your plug-in. A couple areas where 2 of your passengers can plug in and watch whatever movie they're watching together without disturbing anybody else. You have an HDMI input, you have your rear temperature select, and you have individual 3-stage rear heated seats just for your outboard passengers only, nothing for the middle. You know, I wish I had a driver some days because I would definitely chill in vehicles like this and just drive all around. Now this is pretty much also reclinable and movable. So there's latches on the side of the seats. Pull that up closer, or you can sit further back however you like it. And there's a little lever down here. You pull up on that. You can move yourself closer in together or all the way back. I want to do maybe right here. I'd be pretty comfortable sitting here for quite a while if I had a road trip to go on with my friends, my buddies, my family. I'm going to put this up. I'm going to jump into that third row and show you guys how much space I have. 6'1". Am I going to fit back there? Oh, it's a mystery. Stay tuned. All right. And now for ease of access, Honda thought of this as well. They put a couple buttons on the both outboard seats, one down here and one back here if you're leaving. Now you push this button, one simple tap, and it pushes the seat all the way up front. No effort required. Now, they have a little padded plastic area here, which is good to reduce less wear and tear on the carpets. You step on here, you jump in, and you move your seat back. 6'1". I know I moved this, it's just so you guys can see it. Now my rear knees here, I'm pretty comfortable here. I'll probably move my foot up. I have maybe an inch or two of space for my legs and my knees, and have a couple inches on the top. It's nice because it's kind of indented upwards, so you have a little bit more extra headroom. Other than that, you have your individual AC vents here for your heat and AC. You have like 2 cup holders on each side, and one center area for your snacks on long road trips. The best part is, us 4 passengers sitting back here, or 5, we can watch movies while the front 2 people, they're bored. They get good features, but we get movies. Who doesn't like that? Other than that, man, you have a lot of visibility out back. It feels like you're on an airplane, really. Cut this part off. These mosquitoes apparently love seeing insides of Honda Pilots too, so maybe that's a good sign, and maybe that's why you're gonna go look at one too. Now, we showed you, I think, the ins and outs of the Honda Pilot pretty well here. The final test that we have left is to go on a drive and show you guys how this thing drives. Am I looking to drive or get the driving impressions of a LaFerrari? Of course not. This is a 7/8 seater hauling family vehicle, which occasionally goes to the grocery store once a week too. So we're gonna obviously have that in mind and go for a drive, and we'll show you guys what the impressions are. All right, everybody, time to start this driving impressions. Let's get going. You know, for something that's like a 7-passenger SUV, it's super comfortable, pretty quiet as well. One thing I forgot to mention is that the upper trim levels, I believe maybe only Tourings as well, Tourings and up, they give you acoustic front windshields and the front side windows. And if you don't know what that means, is basically they help with more soundproofing. And the good part is that there's a lot of, you know, active noise cancellation going on around the Pilot. They do a lot to reduce road noise. You know, this is not going to be an X5 or a Q7. So what they do to prevent a lot of road noise and give you a lot of really comfortable drive and just something pleasant that your kids won't complain about is it works out pretty well. There's going to be a ton of body roll, but this is not really meant to be a track beast. You give it some gas, you can hear that V6 come to life. You know, this V6, it's to me, it's a pretty legendary V6. Honda has had that, has had this V6 engine itself for a long time. They've used it in numerous amounts of vehicles. It's reliable. You know, the term "old reliable" should be given to this Honda 3.5 liter V6 because it's definitely earned it. I'm thinking that maybe with the next generation Pilot, we might not get a naturally aspirated V6. Maybe Honda might put in a smaller displacement but turbo engine in there. Who knows what they want to do. But yeah, hang on to the V6 while you can. And you know, we were talking about this earlier on, the 2015 start of this generation, and it's closing in on its life cycle. Honda usually does 5 to 6 years. This one got an update last year, just minor refreshments basically, outside, inside of the vehicle, safety and such like that. So with the new Pilot coming out probably in the next year or two, is it worth getting this one? There's nothing wrong with this one. You know, they usually say get a vehicle that's later in its production cycle because all the bugs are usually worked out a little more than the start of the production year. So if you really want a Pilot, maybe you like the style of this one. Maybe if not, you want to wait and see how the next one looks like. And if you don't like that, maybe pick this one if you know, a Pilot is what you have your mind set on to. But yeah, super comfortable ride. Everybody's comfortable. Cameraman Jimmy back there is enjoying his snacks. He's having a fun time. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a acceleration test here with that V6. I'll put it in sport mode, which if I didn't mention before, you basically just press the drive button again because it says a D and it also has a S on there as well. So you press that, you go into sport mode, it starts revving higher basically. I want to come to a stop and make a right here and give you guys an acceleration test. Wow. Did you hear that, guys? Did you hear that? You almost had a little bit of wheel spin there too if it weren't for the vehicle stability assist. Wow, that was incredible. Even the revs and the engine sound, beauty. Music to my ears. had an eargasm for sure. You can do so much with this engine too. But for how quick this feels, and you know, it doesn't feel that big when you're sitting on the inside and driving it, you know, compared to how big it actually is. It's pretty incredible what Honda's done. But that's about it, really. We hope you guys enjoyed the review. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let us know what you think about this Pilot, and if you have any questions, and let us know what vehicles you want to see next. We're always trying to get different vehicles on the show, and we definitely want to have vehicles on that you guys want to see the most. Other than that, we hope you have a great rest of your day, your morning, your evening, your lunch, your breakfast, your dinner, what the you're doing. Have a good one. Take it easy. Peace.